All right. What's up, Carnies? How is everyone doing? Let's see. We got like 200 people waiting. I can't believe you guys waited 15 minutes while I munched on my steak and watched you chat. Creeping on you guys as you talk amongst yourselves. Um, well, I guess people are really interested in the title of this video. The title of this video. Um, Total clickbait. I actually have nothing to say about Goji Man. I'm just playing, guys. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, it's called "I Was Wrong About Goji Man." I spoke with him. Here's what's really going on. So, the whole Goji Man saga, the Goji Man saga has continued. The Goji Man saga has been getting crazy lately, and I don't think Goji Man or myself desired such madness. Right? I mean, this all goes back months ago. Goji Man threatened to sue me, maybe against his better judgment, maybe in an emotional, time of emotional turmoil. It's really easy for us to lash out, to want to silence opposition, to want people to shut up. I want to censor you, and we see that a lot on the internet. There's this huge internet censorship push. Let's silence the opposition. Right? The whole SJW mind state of you can't critique me, you can't say things about me, you can't say certain words about me. And Goji Man redacted it. He said, I don't want to be that guy. He said, I'm not into this. I'm not into this social justice warrior push for censorship. So good on him for that. Good on him for that. Now, what's happened over the last few months? Things have been popping off a little bit. Goji Man came back after one of those breaks that he took, and he was throwing some fire back at the carnivores. The carnivores throw fire back at Goji Man. It's a big internet clusterfuck. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna clear up this all this nonsense. We're gonna talk about what's really going on here. I mean, obviously, it's not easy. It's just me. I wish Simon was here to talk with me. I did invite him. Said if you want to come on the stream today, you can. I sent him an email. He's really busy. He's actually finishing up his master's degree. I don't think he's got time to come on. Maybe he doesn't want to come on, but it is what it is. So people are saying to turn up the mic a bit. Yeah, I guess I can turn up the mic a bit. Let's see. How's that? That better? Mic is up. Closer to the mic. So Goji Man. His name is Simon. I talked to him for about 2 hours the other day. Had a really long conversation. Let me hide the chat. So it's not, you can't look at the chat while you're talking. It gets distracting, all you guys. All these funny avatars and stuff. I keep waiting for Gassy Gregor with his new toupee to come on. I asked Gassy Gregor if he could tell me, if he could hook me up with a contact for who did his hair plugs. But he hasn't gotten back to me yet. So Goji Man, the Goji Man saga. A lot of critiques going back and forth. He criticizes the carnivores. He disagrees with people eating meat. He thinks that the vegan diet is the best way for health. And we obviously disagree. We think that a vegan diet is absolute trash. We think a vegan diet is dangerous. We've actually seen the dangers of many of these different styles of vegan diets out there. And of course, I'll concede to Goji Man. There are different types of veganism, right? There's no one way to do keto. There's no one way to do a vegan diet. There's no one vegan diet. There's no one carnivore diet. There's 100 different ways of doing everything, right? And there's 100 different little diet cults that pop up around all these theories about how you should do any one of these diets. You've got the carnivore cults, right? We all see them. We all know who we're talking about. We're not here to battle these other carnivores. We're not here to even battle the vegans. We're here to bring them into the fold. We're here to bring them back to Team Humanity, right? We're not here to bash everybody and beat them up. We're not here to try to humiliate all these vegans and make them feel like shit. Although some of these people do deserve some critique. People like Durian Rider, who has advised pregnant women to do his diet, his version of the vegan diet, rather, that where he says don't take B12 supplements, don't take essential fatty acid supplements, just eat 30 bananas a day. I talked to a nurse in Australia who's dealt with the side effects of this in patients in the hospital. Pregnant women miscarrying, pregnant women, several pregnant women coming in so anemic, so messed up. So some of these people do deserve to just be laughed off of YouTube and ridiculed. Right? Some of the diet advice that people are giving is absolutely horrendous, is absolutely destructive, and is just savagely destroying people's health. And some of these people are psychopaths, right? We all saw the Durian Rider debate the other day, right? With his little psychopathic smile, always smirking, emotionless, feigning human emotion, right? But this isn't just confined to the vegan realm, right? Every single little niche in YouTube springs up these cults. We all saw the Nature Boy cult, right? We've been watching Nature Boy Peace Reflections. Right? The Melon Nation, he calls himself now. The Nature Boy cult. We've got Freely the Banana cult. We've got carnivore cults popping up now. We've got all sorts of madness on the internet. And we're not here to become part of that. Which is why you don't see me telling all my minions, go mass flag people. Go harass this person on YouTube. You'll never see me do that. Even when people do it to me. Even when people do this silly, petty, soy boy game nonsense. To me, you're not going to see me sending flocks of people. You're not going to see me telling you guys, buy into everything I say. Believe everything I say. I am your leader. Right? Not into it. That's not what we're doing here. We're trying to spread the truth. We're here to advance culture in a good way. A degenerating degeneracy culture that's being spread worldwide. And food is just one little part of that. Food is just one little part of this worldview. This nihilistic, moral relativist worldview that's absolutely destroying cultures globally and creating this global McMonoculture, right? Bringing Monsanto and McDonald's for all. That's what we're against. And the vegans, deep down inside, they should know in their hearts that we're not their enemies. And many of them do. A lot of them suppress it, right? These people don't want to talk to me. I've been trying to get Richard Vegan Gains on for just a normal conversation for months now. He agreed to. Now he doesn't want to. A lot of these people know in their hearts that what they're doing is bullshit. And what happens in this vegan YouTube cult world, what happens is people create a false identity. You create this whole false air of confidence, this whole false aura of what you are, and it's this projected identity. And you get thousands of people giving you validation. Validate me, validate me. And people can even start cults. People can even start harvesting the energy of their cult followers, sending them off like little Pokemon to do battle with them. And it's nonsense. This is not what we're here to do. So, I'm not here to send people to blast on Goji Man. I didn't come out and talk out against his post, which he made the other day. Instead, I emailed him. It was a strongly worded email, and I said, we need to talk. Why is this going on, basically? Finally, Goji Man and I sat down and had a conversation. Finally, Goji Man and I sat down and spoke. And it was a really good conversation. So first of all, let's talk about the backstory. Community section, Goji Man's thing. Hey, everyone. So it's been brought to my attention that two particular people, maybe they're bald. Maybe they aren't. From the carnivore community have directly contacted my university, not for the first time, and YouTube, with the direct intention of getting me expelled from my course and also my channel removed on the grounds that I am apparently practicing medicine and giving medical advice. Just to clarify a few points, all of my patients give me explicit permission to liaise with their doctors where necessary, and if any medical diagnosing is done or if any medications are prescribed, then it is under the prescribing rights of their doctor. I have been operating as a nutritional therapist legally with indemnity insurance since starting YouTube. When I finish my course in 3 weeks, I will be a fully qualified nutritionist. I am currently in the process of finalizing my PhD plans and have 3 weeks left on my master's. For now, I don't have the time or energy to deal with this, but I'll play the game for the next 4 weeks. People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. It's ironic the following people, to name a few, are offering both nutritional and health advice for vast sums of money with no nutritional or medical backgrounds. Yet me, who is operating legally and ethically, I am the dangerous one who needs to be removed from YouTube, according to good older Bobby's perspective. So he's talking about Bobby. He's talking about Bobby's perspective. But he says 2 people contacted his university. They may have been bald and they may not have been bald. I don't know who contacted his university. I talked about this with Simon. I talked about this in a couple recent live streams as well. But obviously, I'm not sending people. I'm not telling people to go flag videos. I'm not telling people to even go harass people. I'm not sending people to bother Simon. We talked about this. We cleared this up. He still hasn't removed this post, which I think is interesting. I thought maybe he would amend this and remove the wording that seems to imply that Bald Man Bad here was the one who was pushing for his university. I got to shave my head. I can see over here that you guys can see my fuzz. You can see that I'm not all the way bald yet, guys. I gotta shave this so the vegans have a straw man for me. But yeah, he hasn't removed this post yet. I don't care. It's all good. It doesn't bother me. Let's just talk about the content of this post first. So, Goji Man talking about how he's trying to become a licensed nutritionist. That's cool. That's great. Hench Herbivore also calls himself a nutritionist, just so you guys know. There are loads of agencies, and in many countries, you don't need any certification to say you're a nutritionist. Right? So, the fact that we have some sort of credentials, right? The fact that you've got a degree, to me, I could care less, right? What I care about is what's true. What I care about is real intelligence. What I care about is real dialogue. What I care about is real people, right? I don't care about the freaking letters in front of your name. Dr. Greger's got a doctorate, right? He calls himself Dr. Greger. There's loads of doctors who spread terrible information. What was that guy's name? Dr. Sebi, right? Dr. Sebi as well. Lots of these people talk about, I'm a doctor. Right? To me, nonsensical argument. In fact, as somebody who spent a lot of time in the universities, right? Well, I got a bachelor's degree in the university system at a prestigious university in the University of California system, University of California, Santa Cruz. I saw just how brainwashed a lot of these people coming out of the university system are. The universities are basically the mouthpieces for these big foundations, right? The mouthpieces for these big ag companies, these big pharma companies, right? Almost all the funding in the universities is coming from big industry. So what we see is the indoctrination of these students in the universities to basically become mouthpiece for the establishment. To me, I'm not impressed with that. Right? To me, I'm also not impressed with people who get a PhD just to leverage that PhD to spread an ideology that they've already pre-selected before they got the PhD to justify it. You get what I'm saying? Right? If I had some kooky ideas on, what if, all right, so say you're just throwing this out there, some of the flat earth people, right? I'm not trying to bash on you flat earth people in general, but just giving an idea that most of the audience does not believe the flat earth stuff. Most of them are globe earth shills, right? But say you're flat earther, you go get your PhD. Does that justify your beliefs? No. Also, does a majority of people agreeing with your beliefs justify it? If a majority of people in a given area believe something, does that make it true? Absolutely not. In fact, very often, the majority is completely wrong. All right? The majority believed that saturated fat caused heart disease a few years ago. The majority believed that cholesterol was a direct causal agent in cardiovascular disease and heart attacks. We know that's not true. Just because a majority of people believe something doesn't mean it's true. Right? These are mind control techniques. You appeal to the masses. What do the masses believe? What they're told, for the most part. People believe what they're told. And if you can educate a generation from cradle to grave, you've got them. If you can ideologically indoctrinate children from cradle to grave, you've got them. And what we're seeing is this vegan agenda is pushing an indoctrination, and a very heavy indoctrination of children using visceral imagery, using films like Dominion, using emotional imagery, emotionally charged language. And they're indoctrinating an entire generation into malnourishing themselves on a plant-based processed food, junk food diet. And this is being bankrolled by the same big foundations behind the Nazi eugenics movement, behind the American eugenics movement, where they were actually sterilizing people forcibly, sterilizing the undesirables. The same big foundations behind this, behind the eugenics movements, behind the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute started the Green Revolution. And they use these clever words like Green Revolution. We're going to feed the world. How are you going to feed the world? by forcing genetically modified seeds, by forcing patented seeds, by forcing patented pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, petrochemical agents onto the third world. Same big foundations say that depopulation is the biggest agenda. The Rockefeller Foundation, Bill Gates Foundation, openly saying that the human population, there's too many people, right? Humans are scum. We need to get rid of the dang people. There's too many of us, and we need to get rid of us. But then they say, oh, we're going to feed the world with our patented seeds and Roundup. And Roundup is like freaking vitamin C, right? Come take your Roundup pills, kids. So this agenda gets pushed through the universities. You got Earthling Ed going to talk at Harvard University. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. I got to get back to Goji Man, though. But just because if I went and got a doctorate, it wouldn't mean that everything I say is true and should be taken as gospel. This is nuts. This is crazy. So, and I'm not saying that Goji Man specifically shouldn't be listened to. He has some points. Goji Man, when I talked to him, made it abundantly clear. He made it abundantly clear that several of my concerns were heard, were taken to heart by him, and that he understands my point of view. I don't think Goji Man was just putting me on. I don't think Goji Man was just trying to, play this, psychopathic game that you see a lot of people trying to go for, trying to, play to the audience and stuff. He wasn't doing that. The Goji Man that I talked to, the Simon that I talked to, right? You can call him Goji Man. I got to call him Simon now because I met the guy. The Simon that I talked to is not the one that you see in videos. There was no jump cuts when I talked to him. You know how difficult it is just get in front of a camera and freaking ramble and just look into a little tiny lens and ramble? Or to see yourself in like the little viewfinder thing or whatever and ramble. You know how hard it is to sit here and have a chat of 455 people talking, not get distracted by it. So, Goji Man does want to help people. When I talked to him, that's what he told me. My first concern was, dude, if you really wanted to help people, you wouldn't bring the ethical veganism argument into the videos. And he agreed. Goji Man agreed. He said, you know what? That's true. He said, my health is my number one asset, and if I for one moment believed that meat could help me and that it was the only way, then I would do it. We'll get to that later. So I said, okay. I didn't want to press the issue too hard, but thinking about it afterwards, he has brought up the ethical veganism argument in several of his videos. In the video he made about ex-vegans going to meat or going carnivore, right? A lot of people use the carnivore word as a catchphrase because it's getting traction on YouTube, right? But when he said in his video that one of the reasons why a lot of people leave veganism is because they were never vegan for the animals, that's what worries me. That's what really worries me about these people. Because that tells you right there that somebody has put on ideological blinders. Somebody has put on the ideological glasses. And this person is going to have a very hard time seeing beyond that. So the ethical veganism argument is something that a lot of these ideologues fall back on when the health arguments obviously fall apart. Right? When all these vegan YouTubers are obviously having trouble on a vegan diet, right? The excuses are abundant. Right? And this is something that Simon and I talked about as well. So one of the things that a lot of people are saying, well, oh, look, all these ex-vegans were fasting. They were all fasting. Well, people in the low-carb community have been fasting and talking about intermittent fasting and even long-term fasting for years. Right? I mean, if we're going to take that as anecdotal evidence, we could say fasting makes you fat. Look at Jimmy Moore. Jimmy Moore promoted fasting, and he's still fat. So therefore, fasting is bad. Fasting makes your diet fail for you. That's not true. People, Cole Robinson, snake diet guy, he's been promoting fasting, even dry fasting, for a long time. And people aren't going vegan to heal from these low-carb diets because fasting, right? They talk about, oh, they did raw food diets. Right? I totally agree. A raw food vegan diet, worst form of a vegan diet you could ever mess with. I played around with the idea for a few months, could never go more than like a week of totally raw foods. And the generation I saw in these raw food people and the ideology that they were adhering to, it never made sense to me. So the raw food thing, he's got a point there. All right, these people doing raw food diets and then you blame it totally on veganism, you got a point. But what about all these carnivores that are eating only raw? There's people on raw food meat diets, right? The Augenus Vonderplanets, he's been pushing this information for a long time. All right, Milk Jar, Sparage, talking about raw meat, both of them getting more physically healthy than they were on a vegan diet using raw meat. So the argument does fall apart with a lot of these people, right? And a lot of these people, even though they may be mentally deranged still, a lot of these ex-vegans got their health, their physical health back. So that argument falls apart. Something else that they always bring up is the drinking of pee. And I thought that was really funny, man, because I think I brought this up to Simon as well. And I talked about this with other people recently. I think it was Drew Moore did like an Instagram live. I might have talked about this with Bobby as well. But a lot of people that eat meat are also doing the urine therapy stuff. And they're not wrecking their health with urine therapy. They're drinking the piss. Cole Robinson says, drink your damn pee, fatty. And he's fine. He drinks his pee. We talked about this on the podcast or the stream with Snake Diet Guy. So a lot of these arguments fall apart. When those arguments fall apart, they go back to, you were never really vegan, it's for the animals. And one of the most important parts of the conversation that I had with him, that I had with Goji Man, is Goji Man said he's not an ideological vegan. And he said he's going to rectify this on his channel as well. Now, I talked to him. I said, look, man, I wish people could hear this conversation that we're having because I want to share with them like what I'm seeing. You know, a legitimate person who really wants to help people, who's being open-minded, right? Who's listening to the points I'm making. I mean, the guy, it was not like the videos you see online. So I understand. First of all, these people, they get in front of a camera. It makes you nervous. It's not easy to get up in front of a camera and babble at yourself with no one else around. And so it brings out this layer of falseness. It brings out an actor, right? And you see this a lot on YouTube. You meet some of these people in real life, and they're not like that. You meet some of these people in real life, you talk to them offline, you get the same person, right? Talk to guys like Andrew, like Drew Moore, or like Bobby's Perspective. They're the same person offline as they are online. You know, Elise from Raw Alignment. My interactions with her offline, she's the same person. Kind, gentle, nice person. All right, so with a lot of people, you get the same person in real life as you get on the videos. Others, you get a false persona. So what worries me is that a lot of these people, they get on YouTube, a lot of these people, they get ideologically attached to veganism, and they create a false identity around them. And I told him that. And he told me in the back of his mind that that's something that's always made him afraid as well, that it's always bothered him as well. Right? And for him to admit that, I was really appreciative of that. For him to actually be so honest with me and so raw with me, I really appreciated that. And the guy genuinely wants to help people. He thinks that the vegan diet is helping him, right? He thinks that the vegan diet, he's gotten a lot better in his health. He's improved a lot in his health since the vegan diet, since starting the vegan diet. And that's great, man. If you can get your health back on a vegan diet, no problem with it. What my issue is telling everybody that it's the only way, telling everybody that's the ethical way, telling everybody that giving up our right to engage in animal husbandry, that me having some cows and drinking my own milk from my own cows, my property, that is wrong, that's terrible, and that instead I should eat Beyond Burgers, that instead I should let Bill Gates give me genetically modified, CRISPR, gene-edited meat, that's sustainable, but hey, you eating your own chicken eggs, me having my own chickens roaming around in my backyard, sometimes roaming into my house, me having a domestic animal, oh, look at that dog, that poor slave, right? That me letting my dog have puppies, right? That's terrible. You're breeding them. They're slaves. This is the thing. The ideological veganism is what we have to battle against. The health stuff, we're pulling these people into the fold, right? The vegan, their health falls apart. It's inevitable. Almost all of them, once they hit a certain point, they realize that you probably need some meat, and it bothers them. They think about it, right? These people want to eat meat. They talk about it. The ones who are honest talk about it. So, as far as the health part goes, it becomes obvious that these people get on a vegan diet. A lot of these YouTubers, it becomes very obvious the pallor, the skin tone, the condition of the tissues in their face and stuff, you could see that these people are not feeling it, man. You can see the eyes start getting sunk in. B12 deficiency causes brain shrinkage, right? We see children all the time. We live in a community where a lot of people are vegan, actually were vegan. You know, it's crazy. Most of the people in our community who we knew in the early days of when we messed around with a vegan diet, all of them, I can't think of a single one of these people that I met when I was first trying veganism who still live in this place that haven't gone back to eating meat. All these people have, especially the ones who had kids. They realized really quickly what a difference it made in their kids' behavior, in their kids' development. And a lot of them had dental issues. All right, and these aren't crazy raw vegans. You know, these vegans, they love to throw out the straw man. Oh, Tristan was in Matt Monarch's video one time. Therefore, he did veganism wrong because in 2011, he was in a raw foodist's video where the raw foodist was awkwardly trying to promote raw foods. And it's crazy. They're going to straw man no matter what. If you're in the cult, it's impossible to see out of it. It's impossible to see out of it. So, you get ideologically attached to this diet. You create a big following. That big following becomes your God. You become a God to your following. And that's why we're always talking about on this channel, quit worshiping freaking gurus and idols. Quit following these freaking nutcase gurus and idols. I'm not talking about Goji Man here. I'm talking about in general. Look at the Nature Boy cult, right? Look at this. This guy's spreading STDs to these women in his cult, getting these chicks pregnant in this polyamorous cult, changing the rules all the time, right? It's crazy. People make cults over their diet. People make straight up cults over their YouTube following. So, these people, they get attached to an ideology. They create a following. They start worshiping this false image of themselves. They start worshiping this false reality. And their followers come along with them and they enable it, right? You're looking at a lot of really vulnerable people on the internet. Some of these people are just trolls fucking around, right? Some of these people are just kids, right? We're looking at like 13 to 20, 25-year-old people watching most of these health YouTube type channels. They're very, very vulnerable kids. They've been raised in a nihilistic culture. They're just prepared to join any cult that makes them feel good, any cult that makes them feel like they belong. They want to feel accepted. They want to feel loved. And they latch on to veganism. So I had to tell Simon, dude, I get worried about you, man. I get worried about people like Richard. People whose entire identity as an adult has been wrapped up in an ideology whose entire income, because most people worship money, right? These people worship mammon. We've been told that money is what gives you freedom. Money is what gives you happiness. And people worship it. We're raised up in a material world. You know, you get Madonna telling you in the 80s, material girl in a material world. And this fallen culture, this degenerate culture we live in, feeds on that. The consumer culture feeds on it. And the YouTube consumer culture is feeding off of you little cultists who are so willing to throw your hat down and bow down before your idols here. And it needs to stop. And the YouTubers, you guys, are just as responsible for it because a lot of you feed on it. A lot of you feed on this nonsense. So it worries me. It worries me when guys like Richard, when Vegan Gains is pushing his ideology constantly, when his whole ideology is wrapped up in this false image of himself that he portrays as being the expert. It worries me because it's really hard for people to leave that. It's really hard for people to leave this ideology if their entire income is based on it. If their whole false sense of self and acceptance is based on it. So, I told the Goji Man that it makes me worry, and he agreed. And he said, you know what, that's something that's in the back of my head. If you guys don't know, Simon, he's talked about this on his channel. So this is not like me like talking about, I'm not outing Simon. Simon has talked about what happened to his family. His father, his mother, and his sister all passed away. Right? It's terrible. He lost everybody he loves, except his wife. He's got a lovely wife now. They obviously love each other. And she's helped him out a lot, I'm sure, and he's helped her out a lot, I'm sure, as well. But he lost his family. A lot of us, when we lose people we love, we got to replace that void, right? So you're not getting approval from your father. You're not getting approval from your mother. You're not getting approval from friends and family anymore. You're not in school anymore. You don't have your peers to mind control you and pull you back into the pop culture nonsense. Then what are you going to do? And a lot of us end up, if you're on YouTube, how easy is it to create this false sense of self, to create this savior identity for veganism? Veganism is going to save me. Carnivore diet's going to save me. Paleo diet, keto diet's going to save me. Make your whole ideology about that. With veganism, it's especially strong because at its core, it is a metaphysical belief, right? It's a religious system of belief. Ethical veganism. So if you make that your idol, if you make that your entire ideology, it's so hard to get out of it, man. It's so hard. So I told him it worries me. A lot of these YouTubers, I said, Simon, it worries me that you might not see that you could maybe get way healthier, way faster eating meat, but you might be so ideologically blinded that you want to make it work. So he told me, look, if my health was failing, if it wasn't working, I would go to meat. I would eat meat. If I believed that meat would help me, I would eat it. And I told him, well, what's the criteria that you give for starting to believe that meat might help you? Right? How do you know that the last few years you haven't improved in your health on a vegan diet despite what you were doing, despite the diet? How do you know that a vegan diet is the cause of it and not just slowing down the process? And he said, you know what? I've thought about that, and that's been in the back of my mind. Right? Now imagine having that in the back of your mind, right? You're doing a vegan diet. You're trying to get your health back. And I think it's important also to give a little bit of background on Goji Man, past just his parents dying, past just the trauma he had, which is horrific, man. All of us lose. Look, every one of us is going to die. Every single person we love is going to pass away at some point. It's no fun. It's no fun to deal with. But also, health can be very temporary. We can have sudden shifts in our health that can destroy us physically. So what he took was fluoroquinolone antibiotic. Fluoroquinolones, which contain a fluorine atom in the chemical structure and are effective against both the gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria like Cipro and levofloxacin, I don't know how you say this one. These are some of the most dangerous drugs that are prescribed to people today. Now, I've known people who have been what's called floxed. These are really dangerous antibiotics that have gnarly-ass side effects. Some antibiotics link to serious nerve damage. The FDA is strengthening its warning that a popular class of antibiotics called fluoroquinolones may cause sudden, serious, and potentially permanent nerve damage and peripheral neuropathy. So we're looking at Cipro, Factive, Levaquin, Naroxen, Avalox, and Floxin. And a lot of people end up having a terrible reaction to these drugs. What are some of the side effects of fluoroquinolones? Oh, you got to sign in for Medscape. All right, I can't read this article. Well, these get prescribed pretty widely. People don't get told the dangers. And when you look at some of the side effects, it's pretty freaking horrific. Adverse effects. Of course, Wikipedia is not a valid source of information, especially on any of these highly controversial subjects like the dangers of certain pharmaceutical products, right? There are a few people that actually edit Wikipedia. Most Wikipedia entries are edited by a very small group of people. While typical drug side effect reactions are mild to moderate, sometimes serious adverse effects occur. So on the box, it warns of side effects that are disabling and potentially permanent and serious, can involve the tendons, muscles, joints, nerves, and central nervous system. concerns regarding low blood sugar and mental health problems were added in 2018. So we all know the connection between the gut and the brain. We all know how damaging some of these drugs can be. Some of the side effects on this drug are absolutely horrific. We're looking at colitis, right? Really, really bad digestion. We're looking at extreme weight loss, muscle wasting, even acute psychosis, right? We report a rare case of middle-aged diabetic men admitted to hospital with multiple infections who developed acute psychosis following levofloxacin administration. I've seen this in people. I've seen this. People who were very malnourished, particularly one person. Someone says it's called being floxed. Yes, exactly. It's called being floxed. And this isn't Goji Man making an excuse. All right, so this is why I'm saying, look, I was wrong about the guy. I had heard him talk about having an adverse reaction to an antibiotic before. I didn't make the connection. I didn't realize that it was fluoroquinolones. I didn't realize that he'd been floxed. This is real. These are real side effects. It messes you up. All right, so let's see what else. Disabling and potentially permanent side effects lead to suspension or restrictions of quinolone and fluoroquinolone antibiotics. Let's see what some of these side effects are. Tendon issue, right? Pain, muscle wasting, swelling up in the joints and the shoulders, difficulty walking. We're talking about like tremors, problems with memory, problems sleeping, problems with vision and hearing, altered taste and smell, inflamed or torn tendons, muscle pain or weakness, joint pain or swelling, walking difficulty. For some people, it's actually permanent. Some of these people are never able to recover from this. So, hey, I'm just so glad that this guy is able to recover somewhat from these, really intense drug reactions. It's terrible, right? If the doctors are offering you these fluoroquinolones, please look into it. These bacteria-slaying chemicals, Mike the vegan liar says, antibiotic is good. See, these things can be so dangerous. And he got caught. He got hit with it. And I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. So this guy got a terrible reaction to this antibiotic, and his health suffered. Now, he believes that a vegan diet helped him get his health back somewhat. The point that I would bring up is, how do you know that you're not recovering despite the diet? All right, the central nervous system, what are the myelin sheaths in the brain made out of? They're made out of cholesterol. We actually know from studies that low dietary cholesterol can lead to low brain cholesterol. Low brain cholesterol can lead to serious neuropathy. It can lead to serious central nervous system issues. So if we're depleted of these essential fatty acids, essential amino acids, and the most bioavailable forms of these nutrients that comes from animal foods, if we're deprived of that, how are we going to expect to get maximum healing? Now, I'm sure what Goji Man's doing is helping some of these people, right? I'm sure he's giving some relief to some of these people who are eating crazy versions of vegan diet, who are doing it wrong. Obviously, there are better ways to eat a vegan diet, but I don't think any vegan diet is going to be optimal or even safe long term. I think they're all risky. All of them are risky, right? Another thing that I had to bring up with Simon was that, check my email to see if because I did invite him. If he wanted to come on the stream and talk, I would have loved it. But he's going to come on a stream later on after he's done with his, he's finishing his master's. He said he's got a few weeks left. But another thing that I had to bring up was that how would you know? How would you know that animal foods wouldn't greatly accelerate the healing process if you aren't willing to try it? If you're so ideologically attached to veganism, and if you've perhaps created an identity and an online feedback loop that's keeping you in the cage, if you've got a whole cult of people that are trying to gaslight you into it and will shame you if you ever leave it, like all these vegans for the last few months have been making video after video about you should never leave veganism. There's always a way to stay. But how would you know that eating meat wouldn't accelerate the healing if your number one priority is to heal and your number one priority is to heal people? Why would you not try it? And he admitted in the back of his mind and in his heart, he's felt the same way. So I think we're dealing with in a lot of the vegan population on YouTube, right? The normal vegan population who aren't on YouTube, they have a way easier time leaving it because most of them don't know any vegans in real life. And the vegans they do eat meat in real life are usually kind of messed up, right? For the most part. I can't name one single, like, emotionally stable, sane vegan that I know right now. Right? Now, I'm not saying, like, I'm talking about in real life, not internet, right? I'm not saying that all of these people are, crazy or something. But really, though, I mean, how many of you vegans out there actually know real vegans in real life? Are they the picture of health, mental and physical health? Let's be honest. Be honest with yourself. So I think it's really hard for these people to leave it. And it worries me when people won't try it. But Simon did say that, if his health didn't improve, that he told himself that he would have to consider it. But it's something that always interests me, right? Like the psychology behind it. Because it's, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose by including some animal fats and proteins, by adding back in the most nutrient-dense, bioavailable sources of these essential fatty acids and amino acids, of these fat-soluble vitamins that will repair the central nervous system? Right? Why not add these in and see if it works? And if it doesn't work, you just go back to veganism. You just go back. But if it does work, then you might heal quicker. What if your central nervous system is able to regenerate faster because you're giving it nutrients it can actually absorb and digest? I'm not saying everybody needs to do a no-fiber diet of all animal foods. I've never said that. But you can. And a lot of people do. A lot of people do really well with it. A lot of people do really well on a diet that's based around animal fats and proteins with some fruit, right? Like big bosses like Stan Efferding with his vertical diet. It's basically that. It's lots of animal foods. And he uses fruit for carbohydrate, right? To fuel athletes, you might want some more carbohydrate. Right? Like if I'm trying to put on weight and I've, the last few streams, I've been drinking some raw milk in the stream. I might have to have some soon. My mouth's getting parched. But I've been having some carnivore carbohydrates, right? There's honey, very easily digestible carb. It's not like you have to do a ketogenic version. But what's interesting is his specific condition, this fluoroquinolone poisoning, the toxicity induced by this, and the long-term after effects. A lot of people have gotten relief with a ketogenic diet. For some people, it didn't work. For some people, it didn't. And of course, it takes a lot of time to heal. But how can we know if our body is healing as quick as it could if we don't just try? If we don't try the animal foods? So to me, that's what makes me so sad. I wish that people with good hearts who really want to help people like him would try it sooner. I wish they would stop putting it off, stop giving themselves these timelines, right? And I talked to Bobby about this. Bobby's perspective. Shout out to Bobby. He had a great stream with Elise that I've yet to see. I saw the very end of it when Elise had already left. And I'm going to have Elise. She's going to come on my stream. Is tomorrow Thursday? If tomorrow's Thursday, she's coming on tomorrow. If today's Tuesday, I forget which day it is. But it's like, just why not try it? Bobby waited a whole year. He said, I'm going to give myself a year. He was having intense gastrointestinal disturbances. He was going to the doctors, trying to figure out what to do. They wanted to give him antibiotics. They wanted to give him all this same treatment that the modern medical establishment wants to give us. Right? The drug and shrug. There you go. Here's some drugs. Go to the pharmacy. Hope you don't get side effects. He gave himself a year of terrible digestion. Shout out to Bobby. I don't know. He was here earlier. He gave himself a year. And it didn't work. But then he still couldn't make himself eat the animal foods. He was so blinded. He had this big following on YouTube. Bobby's not this posturing, effeminate, soylent slop eating guy who's afraid of what people think and who's looking for validation from his audience, who's going to sick his audience on people that he doesn't like. This guy's mean to me. Go get him, audience. He doesn't do that stuff. Bobby is a real man. He'll talk to you one-on-one if he has an issue. Just like me. If I have an issue with somebody, I'm going to go to them as a man, and I'm going to express myself to them one-on-one. That's what I've done with Goji Man. At times, I've publicly made some jokes at him. I've made some cracks about him. And I actually do feel bad about making some cracks about Goji Man now. So Goji Man, I feel even weird calling him Goji Man. I wish you'd drop the damn name, right? Like, how about Ribeye Man? My dog Ribeye's behind me. How about Meaty Man? All right, come on. Goji Man probably can't even eat gojis. They're so high in oxalate. But Simon, who's a real person, who actually has got a good heart, and who actually wants to help people, seems very open-minded about getting his health back. And he wants his health back. And he knows he's not thriving. And he wants to thrive. So I know I took some shots at him. I would use him as an example of somebody who was emaciated from a vegan diet. When you look at people who were omnivores as well, eating meat, they were still getting the same side effects from getting flocks from the fluoroquinolone antibiotics. It's not just the vegan diet that's making him appear that way. So yeah, he might have behaved in a silly way in the past. He might have done things that I don't agree with. He might push a diet that I don't agree with. He might be ideologically stuck in that diet. But I don't want him to suffer. I don't want to bash him, make fun of him all the time. And I don't want him to suffer anymore, right? So Simon is a real dude. He's a nice guy. He's not an ethical vegan. I told him I wish people could hear this conversation because I wish people could actually hear the real you, man. I wish I could share this with my audience. And he said, I don't care. It's like, oh, I'm going to talk about all this stuff. I'm coming back in a few weeks. And another thing that I actually learned from this that I need to share with the audience too is Goji Man doesn't need money. Goji Man's not on YouTube just to make money. Goji Man actually consciously believes that he wants to help people. He wants to help people get their health back. He wants to help people get better. He's not just in it for the cash. He's not just trying to pay off his student loans. Remember, his mother and his father and his sister all passed away. So he came into some money with that. I think he's talked about this on his YouTube channel as well. He doesn't need YouTube. He's not just here to make a buck. He's not just here to sell you poo-poo tests. Like, everyone likes to have a good laugh about the testing, right? He genuinely wants to help people. He thinks he's helping people, all right? Now, I may disagree with the way he's going about it. I may think there's a way better way, but I actually think that he's going to realize this soon, too. Phil Escott's in the chat. What's up, Phil? I got to give Phil a wrench. Phil is wrenched. Make sure to subscribe to Phil Escott's channel as well, guys. So, it is what it is. You know, Simon, I already apologized to him one-on-one. I'm not about this fake interaction between people in front of an audience, right? I'm about real human interaction. I'm just trying to portray, as best I can, alone in front of a camera, in front of all you people in the chat. Some of you who like my channel, some of you who hate my guts. Some of you who are just lost in a cult that sent you on behalf of something else to hate my guts. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm here trying to portray what I saw. Jack says, I think you got played. There's no way he would ever leave the cult. NC Rid with a super chat, 499. Thanks, man. Says, can't listen. I'm at work, but I'm hyped to hear the latest of the Goji Chronicles. Let me go back. Let me see if there's other super chats. I saw some earlier. I'll read these super chats. Shadow T sends 99 cents just to send 99 cents. Chucking pennies. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. John Dennison sending 99 cents. Thank you, John. Those are all the super chats for now. No, I don't think that's what he was doing, man. I think it's somebody who really wants to get help. I think he's somebody that really wants to get better, that really wants to help people. But only time's going to tell, right? Only time will tell. What if he's lying to me? Okay. Doji Man Vegan. Doji Man Vegan says, what if he's lying to you so he can get more information to create a case? That's on him, man. I got to give people the benefit of the doubt, right? Like, I try as best I can to give people the benefit of the doubt. And there's been people who I've given the benefit of the doubt for a long time before I actually came to them in private, of course. Because when I have a grievance, I'll come to you as a man, not publicly like a little girl to create drama like a soy boy. I come to him like a man. I've been emailing him, trying to get a hold of him for a long time. We set up times to talk. He didn't want to talk. I don't know why. I don't know why he's coming around now and actually being nice. But I give him the benefit of the doubt. I can't see into his soul. I can just talk to him, man. So all I could do was talk to him, listen to him, hear him out, and I got a good bullshit meter, right? I've dealt with a lot of these people, especially on YouTube. I know very, very well how these people behave. And it's kind of easy to tell what someone's going to do with certain things. So sometimes I just give people the benefit of the doubt. If they're going to stab me in the back, they're going to stab me in the back. Ms. Clementine, yeah, I told you, Ms. Clementine, you were talking about in the comments about your father-in-law's involvement in Roundup and how he was involved in the development of Roundup and had serious health effects happen to him that he is so sure is from Roundup. I gave you my email. Please email me. Yeah, Tristan at primaledgehealth.com. Tristan, Tristan. Email me about that. Title it, because I get spams, and I just delete the spam. So title it Roundup. And all right, so here's the thing. People don't believe it. People think, okay, Goji Man just pulled one over on Tristan. I don't think that's what's going on. Now, does this necessarily mean that he's going to come back and he's going to, remember the conversation we had and not get sucked right back into getting cornered by the cult? Right? The audience is what controls a lot of these YouTubers, right? They get controlled by donations, many of them, right? They're getting super chats, they're getting Patreon donations, they're getting funded to do certain things. People behind the scenes can easily influence these YouTubers. So that's why I was bringing up he doesn't need money. The guy's not in it for the money. Simon is not in it for the money. Remember, his parents died. His parents passed away and his sister passed away. Pretty sure he got some settlements from that. He's able to pay for his education for that. And he's able to use his platform as he sees to be most beneficial for the most people. And he thought veganism was that. The undercurrent of the conversation made me think that he's very open. And he actually, he wanted me to know that he's not an ideological vegan. He's not an ethical vegan. And he wants to get people healthy. So look, Goji Man says, pray Goji heals with magical animal foods. Magical animal foods. The vegans, they say the magical fish, the magical eggs. I do. I hope he gets out of the ideology. Because like I said before, how do you know? How do you know that you're not healing despite the vegan diet? How do you know that your healing wouldn't be accelerated greatly if you didn't just try some animal foods? Every one of these vegans, they talk about they eat a steak, their eyes light up. They eat some fish, instantly they feel better. Autoimmune, there we go, ADA Immune. Autoimmune has a really good channel. Or no, I'm sorry, Adam Immune. Adam Immune. Sends $10, says prayers for Goji Man. Absolutely, man. It can be really hard sometimes. It can be super freaking hard sometimes. You know how hard it is when somebody is directly attacking you, shitting on you in public. You know how hard it is to just want what's best for them and not just go, rah, I'm going to fuck you up, man. You know how hard that is? I'm a warrior, right? If I didn't have this battle, I would have to be pushing against something, right? And I'm not a warrior for false causes. I'm not a warrior for, if we all just eat meat, it's going to be this magical utopia. No. I want what's true. I know who my master is. And like Bob Dylan, who may have served a different master than me. I guess he's still alive, right? Bob Dylan. He said, everybody's got to serve somebody sometimes. Every one of us is serving something. Whether you're serving your own false sense of identity to create your own little diet cult on the internet, whether you're serving some other false reality, some other false entity, or whether you're serving the truth. And the truth comes from one place. It doesn't come from me making it up. It doesn't come from me and you agreeing. It doesn't come from might makes right. The truth comes from one place. So it's really hard to want what's best for people who attack you. But Goji Man apologized, and I apologized to him, and here I am, again, publicly apologizing. Not for show, but because I want to push the dialogue forward, and I want to have more conversations like this. Wild Bill. We know. So, yeah, The Goji Man saga continues. He's going to come back in 3 weeks. I told him, dude, I would love if you'd come on my show. We had a stream, but honestly, I'd rather just talk to him one-on-one. I'd rather just speak to him as a person. I'd rather talk to somebody as a man. One-on-one. Mano a mano. That's where you have real conversations. It's hard to have real conversations in front of, an audience, right? In front of a camera. I try and talk to you guys. I try to keep it real. Right? The me you see here, the me you see in person. Right? But there's still a camera there. And I still know there's people watching. And there's still things that sometimes I want to say, but I know I shouldn't. There's things I want to say, but I don't. That's the nature of this. We got to play the long game. So you don't see me out here attacking Goji Man. You're not going to see me out here making fun of him. I hope he gets better. I pray he gets better. I hope he comes out of the nonsense. And it sounds to me like eventually he's obviously going to eat meat. None of these vegans you see now, they're all future ex-vegans. All the carnivores too. Future ex-carnivores. We're all going to die. Every single one of us, every single person we love, they're all going to pass away. None of this lasts. None of us are getting out of this alive. What's so important is what we do here, right? So I think we all need to maybe, instead of trying to isolate people and shame them into submission, or sometimes people should be shamed, right? AKA Durian Rider. Some of these people need to get a good smack sometimes. I don't mean physically. But hey, we all get what's coming to us. Every single one of us. We're all going to get what we deserve. We don't decide what we deserve, luckily. All right, so Coach Charles, what's up, dude? 5 CHF. I don't know what CHF are. Is that Canadian? I love what you do, Tristan. Your stream and Bobby was the last push I needed to quit the vegan cult. Keep up the great work, Charles. Well, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm glad you're doing well. So, Goji Man, not an enemy. Not a bad dude. Not a terrible person. Little big head. Says, where does truth come from? Where does truth come from? That's the question of this age, right? Where does truth come from? Truth comes from something outside of us. Truth is revealed. In my worldview, in my belief, the truth can only come from a higher power and from God. That's where truth comes from. Truth isn't relative. It's not made up. It's not something that's, we just, if we all agree that this is truth, then it's true. I'm not a moral relativist. Truth is revealed. And truth is actually written on all of our hearts. That's why we have a conscience. That's why we have guilt and shame when we do wrong. But also that guilt and shame can be twisted, and we can be made to feel guilt and shame when we do the right thing. All right? But the truth comes from outside of us. It has to. Truth has to come from outside of us, or it's all just moral relativism, and there is no truth. And if there is no truth, we can know nothing. If there's no truth, there's no right and wrong. If there's no truth, we can kill and eat each other. And that's what we see in every single culture before it came. Right? You see the Mayans lopping off heads on pyramids, eating human flesh, sacrificing humans and drinking their live adrenalized blood. You see all sorts of degenerate practices in all these cultures that believe that there was no truth outside of themselves, or that worship stone gods that they built with their own hands. Right? So that's where truth comes from one place. Not you, not me. Not the collective consciousness, not any of these like monistic theories of, we're all just one, we're all just, everything that's physical is one, and it's matter eating matter, then nothing matters. Nothing means anything in that worldview. So anyways, that's not what this is about. This is about what's right, and this is about me saying, Goji Man is not an enemy. These vegans are not enemies. We're running a vegan rescue operation here. We're not here to bash the vegans. Some of them we're going to laugh at. Some of them we're going to poke fun at. Some of you people are so ridiculous. Hench herbivore. Using my name in your video, not even mentioning me in the video. So, we're not here to battle vegans. We're here to bring them in. So every single one of you, we will welcome with open arms. We know most of you are going to come back to eat meat eventually. We know most of you are going to come back to eating meat. You know, all of you are going to come back to eating meat. 85% of you. Maybe some of you go down with the ship. I hope you don't. I really hope none of you go down with the ship. But hey, you know, if you can heal and recover from some of these serious ailments using a vegan diet, to me, the question becomes, is it happening despite the vegan diet? And the only way to know is by trying it. So, the ball's in Goji Man's court. His name is Simon. He's a good guy, and I appreciate the conversation I had with him, and I appreciate further conversations. I know it's not easy getting on YouTube. I understand it's not easy getting up in front of a camera and exposing yourself to people, and he wants to help. He really wants to help people. And I think he is going to help people. I just don't think that the way he's going to help people is the way that he wants it to happen. So it is what it is. Get off the computer, get off social media, go make real communities. Don't go out there and bash people in the name of your favorite YouTube guru. We're not here to start diet cults. We're here to seek what's true. We're here to normalize eating meat again and to fight against this degenerate agenda that's destroying all the cultures, that's destroying all of our peoples and destroying all these families out there. That's why we're all about eat meat and make families. All right. Goji Man, I'll talk to you soon. Simon. It's hard not to say Goji Man, right? Simon, I wish you the best, and I'm really happy that I talked to you. You know, he gave me permission to talk about the conversation we had. So I'm not stepping on any toes here, I hope. Or if he feels like this was inappropriate, I'll gladly